Welcome back to my starting over series. I've decided to give myself another challenge. This time I will actually go to the Mun, or the Moon as I keep trying to call it. I was going to do something else, but then I sort of changed my mind. I decided to do this one first because I actually found some interesting things. First up, you notice the we've now got MechJeb up there. I upgraded this after getting all the points. I'll back up a bit. After getting all the points from Minmus, I went and upgraded my science tree, my technology tree, and unlocked a few nodes. And I noticed something very strange. I was testing some other stuff, and I noticed MechJeb here, even though I do not actually have a MechJeb module on this rocket. And I was thinking, what the heck's going on? That's a bit strange. I go over to here, and it seems that the command pod now includes a MechJeb core. Yay! Hopefully that will get rid of the alignment problems. I'll just check that in a sec. So MechJeb seems to have been built into at least this. I'll check the other modules, but the other command pods, but seems to be built into this command pod. Anyway, the other thing is crew reports. That's kind of run like an experiment, so that's probably why you can only use it once. Yeah, I'm not sure what they mean by that collectible data. So I think, yeah. The green, does that mean yes? I don't know. I still don't know what that means. I haven't looked it up. So, and also something else I want you to notice, because it will become relevant in my discussion. This is going to be a technical episode, couple of episodes by the way. I'm just going to go open slather on everything that I know. So I'm not going to and I won't say go look up this, go look up that. I'll just talk, and if you don't understand it, well, that's going to be too bad. This will be next couple of episodes going to be technical. Okay. All right. So the reaction this type of command pod actually includes a reaction wheel, which is basically that gives you some steering ability, and that's quite a lot. 5 units of torque in your XYZ directions. That's quite a lot there compared to some other things. It also includes some batteries, some power, and some mono repellent. So basically, I can see what they've done here. They've just I've never really thought about it all that much in the past. What they've done is they've just given you a single Kerbal command pod that also includes a lot of other stuff that you need, so you don't have to go and add your own batteries and reaction wheels and stuff like that. So that's why this design actually works with no fins, because it's getting all the steering from that 5 units of torque in the command pod. Even though it's in the wrong spot, you should really have reaction wheels down near your the center of mass, not up at the top. But it still worked. Or did it? It worked, sort of. I think it worked more in spite of me than because of me. I'll explain why in a little while. The other thing is I'm going to be using Kerbal operating system, so I'm going to be running some of my own scripts where prudent. So to get that to work, I had to add this module here. What have I got there? Put that one there. Yeah, so I just added it as part of this ship here. Okay, so that's why that's coming up. How do you get rid of that bloody thing? It's pinned there, isn't it? Huh. Oh well, whatever. Oh, it's gone away. So yeah, you got the command and control here. I've now got some RCS thrusters. I'm seeing I've got some. I'm tempted to just add them. I'll probably add them in my next version, because just having a couple thrusters under some circumstances is good. I usually put them on there. That they don't weigh very much, and if you've already got the monopropellant available to you, because there's a little bit in this capsule here, it's just handy. They've already given you a lot of little things to use. So yeah, command pods. We've also got the lander cam, which doesn't appear to have a. Oh, it's got a MechJeb module built in as well. This one, yeah, it's got MechJeb, and maybe this one does not. Oh no, there it is. It's got MechJeb built in as well. So yeah, all I'm saying is you don't have to add this stupid looking thing I've never liked onto the outside of your ship anymore. Although I've never seen it burn off, it seemed to always be pretty resistant. But okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test. I've just taken my Minmus vessel, and I'll start with that, and I'll upgrade it so it can get to the MUN, because it's probably not going to be sufficient. So I'll just test it, and I'll show you. I'll actually launch it using my my Kerbal operating system launch script that I wrote about 18 months ago or so. So you just open that here. Yeah, I've already written it. I've already changed the parameters to do a launch east along the equator, which is the optimal starting position to get to the moon. Actually, yeah, I've rotated it back into its default position too, because I was getting drift in when I was going to the Minmus. I wanted to launch 5 degrees towards 5 degrees south of the equator to actually try to line up with Minmus as much as possible, and it kind of kept drifting around, and the only way that I could sort of combat the drift was actually to rotate the starting position of the craft. The reason being that you may, if you're new to Kerbal, you won't know this. You may not have noticed this yet. I just can't get a good picture of that. Sorry. You notice the capsule, the door is facing towards you. That's because the whole vessel is actually aligned north, and that's basically off in that direction. And what happens is when you do your pitch controls, actually I shouldn't just call them they're controls. Basically we've got pitch down, pitch. They're actually, it's confusing when you apply them to rockets because they're actually designed for aircraft. Aircraft are always flying with the wings more or less parallel with the horizon, so pitch, roll, yaw makes sense. But when you're in a rocket, those what you call pitch, roll, yaw is quite arbitrary, and it causes more confusion. I reckon they should have called them XYZ or something like that. I just try to pick up a good picture here. Yeah, you see how it makes sense, because the roll, you roll left, roll right, you roll the wings, right? Yaw is basically where you point, you change the direction on a flat plane, and that's the yaw. And the pitch is you either pull back on the stick or you push forward on a stick, right? That all totally makes sense. But when you apply that to a ship, you've got to pretend it's a plane for these directions to make any sense. And so the way they do it is they basically say, okay, here's the command pod. This part of the command pod is up, and in the case of that command pod, it's that door. So they start off with the up position facing south. So if you want to go east, that means you basically you pitch. You don't pitch. You actually yaw. you actually yaw to the right. So it gets confusing because you're facing vertically, you're not facing horizontally. But just start to think about it, and you'll get totally confused for a while. If they call these X, Y, Z, because they're completely arbitrary. Because well, even when it's launching, it's facing straight upwards. And how often does a aeroplane face straight upwards at launch time? Never. It's on the ground. So straight away you get confused. But it's arbitrary because you pretty much can have a spacecraft in any orientation, and they're all valid. Anyway, so you've got to realise straight away. You've got to figure out, okay, where is up, and up in this case is actually pointing out of the screen back towards the player. So that's up there that way. I can't even draw it because it's facing the wrong way. So if I want to launch and then tip in that direction because I want a gravity turn, I actually yaw. I push the yaw control, which is D on my keyboard. If I pushed pitch down, which is W, I'd actually go north, and I don't want to go north because that won't put me in an orbit around the equator. It'll put me in an orbit around the North and South Pole, and it will actually miss them, to be quite honest, because of another complicating factor, which I won't go into right now. It's to do with the way Kerbal rotates. So the easiest way to launch is always towards east because you're going along the equator and you're going in the direction of the rotation. So I think when you first start off, you don't even notice these things. But trust me, when you start writing computer programs, it all becomes very, very relevant. All right, and hopefully these gauges over here will actually tell you. Yeah, and they're called pitch, roll, yaw in both again. So yeah, unfortunately we're stuck with this convention. If they'd used X, Y, Z or something, it might have been a little bit better. And it gets worse. Each body has a pitch, roll, yaw direction as well, but it's fixed. But they don't always call it that. But it works out to be exactly the same once you get through the underlying rotations. Alrighty, so I'll just fire up my window and I'll show you something. This program should work, but it's got a fatal flaw in it, I discovered. Oh, okay, so I misspelled something, did I? Yeah, right. Can't spell. Okay. Come on, you give me a hard time. Oh, test. That's a test run. Alrighty. Just have a 5-second countdown. Okay, theoretically this should now be pitching in that direction. It'd be like you're leaning for your life on the D key. And is it moving? Well, very slowly. You just so slowly that you can't even see it. And these the gauges are going berserk, but I think we're just going to have to live with that. It's just the way the steering manager in the Kerbal operating system program works. Okay, you're then. Okay, it's all settled down. Okay, that's weird in itself. I don't know what that means. And also I started turning from 0 kilometers, so we hardly turned at all. I thought it was a bug in the program, but I discovered later that it's actually a bug in the vessel. Well, it's not a bug, it's just that the way Kerbal operating system flies your ships is a little bit, using the steering manager software, is a little bit different than your manual input. So I'll just wait until... Yeah, you see it's turning it now, quite happily, see? It's actually... Trouble is it's too late. We've missed our apoapse of 80 kilometres by a long shot. So it's too late, so the mission has already failed. But you can see there's nothing wrong with the turning, it's just that it only turned by a very small amount. Alright, oops, got to get the focus back. I'll just revert that flight. So I've got to make some modifications to fix the problem. Okay, vehicle assembly. So the first thing that you do is, if you think you're having steering problems, you seem to not be able to get enough steering out of your ship, because it's a stupid design like this one is. But I only designed it with the parts I had on hand at the time. That's the only ones I had unlocked. You're mad to use all these solid boosters. You don't have much control over them. They're great for an initial kick, but that's about it really. Because you can't change the throttle of a solid rocket booster, and you can't switch it off. At least I don't think they've put that ability on them. Maybe I should test it sometime. You shouldn't be able to switch them off. So once they ignite, constant thrust all the way. So the first thing you think about is take that off. Leave the decoupler there. You want some reaction wheels if you've got them. So what have we got? We've got an advanced stabilizer, small reaction wheel. We've got these things, but I only use thrusters. I don't use thrusters to steer rockets. They're designed for a vacuum anyway, not an atmosphere. Alright, so we'll put one reaction wheel on. Okay, so, and it's down, I'm putting it down near the center of mass, where I think the problem actually is. That's probably still not going to help me much. Yeah, bollocks. There's no way the center of lift is up there, but these other ones are correct. I'll just save that. Let's see if that so that using another reaction wheel should give us a bit more torque, so a bit more ability to turn in the direction you want to go. Actually, how many units does it give you? You should start to think of that. 15, which is 3 times what's in the command module. So we've now got 20 units of torque in each of the directions. So that's a lot more than what we had. Let's see if it helps us out. So it's that one. All right. Yeah, you can see straight away that the turn is working. So I've actually written it into the software to turn at a particular rate. That's why this pitch over here is changing, so it's trying to pitch in that direction. It may not, but you know, the software can only tell the rocket what to do. If you tell it to do something that's beyond the rocket's capability, it won't work. So you've got to design the software and the rocket together, basically. You sometimes have to tune them. I've tried to come up with a generic launch program, but I'm not there yet. It needs a lot more work. But it does work for these simple rockets. Okay, and that's still stable. Good. I'm not so sure about the upper stage though. Let's see what happens. It might blow up anyway. Okay, yeah, that's the upper stage is unstable. If I could actually fly it manually, but the software, I was actually a little bit better than the software in this circumstance. All right, so that's failed. So let's revert the flight again. I'm going to have to do something about that. Now there'd be two ways of doing it. Either I'd add another reaction wheel, or in this case I will actually add some fins, even though I don't like them. Okay. So okay. What we've done, we're worried. This is the section we're worried about. So just take that section off. Actually, you should take everything off. So you try to balance things as you go. I know sometimes it's hard because you got to balance the whole rocket and you got to balance each section as you go. That's you got to admit that's tricky. Okay, so let's just have a look, see what's going on. Okay, we got that's bollocks, but either way, we know it was the center of lift is in the wrong spot, so the fins will help us correct that. So let's just chuck four basic fins on. You can put fancy fins on with steerables and stuff like that, but I won't bother at this stage. So just put them here. Put them as low, so you can see how the blue ball is responding. So put it as low as you can possibly manage. For starters, it can get more complicated than that, but you got to start somewhere. I don't know. So much you can learn in this this game. It's just incredible. All right, so now I've actually got a which is wrong, but overall the rocket's not unstable. So I thought of adding these things, but I don't know. If they don't seem to help my rocket, I don't add all these fancy nozzles. They're just extra weight. I leave them off unless I think they will actually help. In this case, I don't reckon they're helping, so I leave them off. It's my my attitude towards rocket design. I don't care if it looks a bit dicky. That's not my problem. All right, let's repeat this test and see how we go. Okay. Oh, you can switch this stuff on too if you it's kind of... Let's switch it off now, it's just a distraction. But yeah, it's useful once you understand what it's trying to tell you. That's the hard part. All these pretty vectors, and you're thinking, what does all this mean? Got to figure out what it means first. I mean, you can just tell from the shape of the shockwave sometimes how you're going. But the best thing, honestly, is in that ball. Okay, it says we're pretty good because our ship, our rocket is pointing through the velocity vector, and that's exactly what you want. That's an optimal configuration. As long as it keeps pointing through it, it's good. You can actually see it's actually trying to force it, and it's actually working, just enough. Okay, now we're things have gone a little pear-shaped, but we're still kind of within tolerance, except for the fact that the rocket's overheating. Okay, we've now actually, our apoapse is at 80, so we're pretty much we just needed that extra little bit of stability, and we got through it. Wunderbar. So what's happening now? It's coasting up to the apoapse. I just use a standard way of achieving an orbit. It's not quite the same way that they would teach you in a Scott Manley video, but it's my method, so I'm sticking to it. If you go over the screen, you can see, well, we want an orbit of 80, and that's already at 80, so there's no point going any higher. So we're basically just coasting up to that point. You may, because we're not even out of the atmosphere yet, you may have some drag losses, but that's what that additional little puff was coming out the back just to maintain this 80 figure up here. And there's almost no look at the gauge. There's almost no atmosphere up here anyway. So unless you're going really fast, like 3,000 meters a second, it's not even a factor. I don't care if there's a bit of flame around the ship. It doesn't hurt it. Okay, now it's set automatically set the maneuver node for me. Okay, so you can do that from Kerbal operating system. You can set maneuver nodes once you know how to do it, and it will even do some warping for me to save time. Okay. Oh, we're almost there anyway. It won't warp now. So it's just counting down to the node. There we go. Now you can either watch this figure here. It's got your periaps wants to match your apoaps basically, or you can watch it up here. Take your pick. It's the same number. Once they match, you're in a circular orbit. Simple as that. And yeah, we're in orbit because the KSP always changes the camera over as soon as you're in orbit. I think we're now in an orbital view. Yeah, we go from a free view or a chasing view to an orbital view. That's why it shifts like that when you reach orbit. It's just the KSP changing the cameras over to a more appropriate camera. Okay, so you can see there's some bullshit still coming up on my instrumentation. It's because I made a change and it meant that I wanted it to leave the maneuver node there, even though it's expired. It's back there now. There you go. You can check the orbit here too. Pretty damn good, don't you reckon? Hard to do that manually. Anyway, so yeah, it's just a bit of crap. You just actually its job is done. I can just shut it down now. All right, so we're in orbit, and from here I would go to the Mun or to the Moon, sorry, or Minmus or whatever. It's good, or anywhere else for that matter. It's a good circular orbit. Now, okay, how much time have we got? About 5 more minutes. Not really time to achieve anything. What I'm going to do is once I finish this recording, I'm going to test. I'll do one test getting out to the Mun, the moon, but I don't think this lander's anywhere near powerful enough to land on the moon and get. I'm sure we'll make it, but I don't think this lander is good enough. So I'm going to have to upgrade the lander. And once you upgrade one part, like add weight, whatever, that means you've got to look at the rest of the rockets. And that's what I'll be doing next episode. So catch you next episode.